inaugural season.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are back. This is our second to last bout of the evening. It is a professional bout between Francis Healy and Matt DiMarcantonio. Let's have a look at our tail of the tape. We've got Francis Mad Dog Healy, 25 years of age, 5 feet 8 inches tall, weighing in at 145 pounds with a professional record of 4 wins, 2 losses. He's taking on Matt DiMarcantonio, 25 years of age, 6 feet tall, 145 pounds with a professional record of 6 wins, 5 losses. This is going to be a really good fight. Francis Healy is a local favorite here in Pittsburgh.
He is. He's a Mat Factory guy, trains with Chris Dempsey, Melissa Gastick, Dawn Mazzotta.
Absolutely. Francis Healy's last fight was a win via second-round rear naked choke versus Manny Milan in December of last year.
I remember that very well, and his hands looked much improved in that fight.
Absolutely.
Now, one thing to note about both these guys is they have both lost to Kama Worthy by TKO in, I believe, the first round.
Wow. But, you know, that's not as much a knock on them as it is just a kudos to Kama Worthy. He's a really good fighter.
Buyers of Pittsburgh and Luigi's Pizzeria and Restaurant.
Yeah, Francis Healy, 25 years of age, as well as his opponent, Matt DiMarcantonio.
Big height difference between them, especially if DiMarcantonio is a legit 6-footer.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, 4-inch height advantage.
And I'm not quite sure if Francis is entirely 5'8", to be honest. I think he might be a little bit more like 5'7".
I would have to maybe agree with you on that one.
So it could be a huge height advantage. Also, normally, by the time the amateur fights are done, I am so ready for the pro fights because they're usually just the rules create more exciting fights, and you expect the opponents to be maybe a little bit better. But honestly, tonight, the AMI fights have been so good.
I couldn't agree with you more.
That the pro fights have a lot to live up to.
Absolutely. I mean, just from the very first fight of the night to the one we just saw, I mean, we've seen some really impressive things happening here in the cage.
This was the best amateur lineup I have ever seen at a local MMA promotion.
Absolutely. Just another testament to the level of matchmaking we see at Gladiators with a cage. Almost never a bad fight. I mean, very well-matched opponents, good amateur fighters. They bring people in from all around the country. I mean, we've seen guys coming from New York, from Canada, from Ohio.
Yeah. These fights were well put together, and sometimes, I mean, you can't tell. You look at something on paper and 2 guys should be good, but who knows?
Here we see Matt DiMarcantonio coming in and as jiu-jitsu gi, apparently a purple belt in Brazilian jiu-jitsu. The black belt is likely from another martial art, coming from Team Ascension in Ontario.
I would guess the black belt is from a different martial art, unless he's, you know, carrying his instructor's black belt in some sort of ceremonial fashion.
Coming from Team Ascension, the same team that produced Dalton Brady, who we saw take a belt earlier tonight. Very high-level jiu-jitsu and Muay Thai coming from these guys.
If Dalton Brady's performance is any indication of what that camp can do, then this fight is going to be electric.
Absolutely.
Because I'm already very familiar with what Francis is capable of, and I think these guys are going to fight a highly technical back-and-forth battle.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Matt DiMarcantonio's last fight was a loss via first-round TKO versus Kama Worthy in November of last year. And, you know, he's 6-5-0, so he's had his wins, he's had his losses. He's kind of been everywhere he could possibly go in the sport as far as wins, losses, decisions, knockouts, submissions. You know, and that, honestly, a lot of the time, that just means he's experienced. There's not a lot of stuff you can show him or do to him that he hasn't seen already, you know?
And, I mean, to be frank, Kama Worthy is a bit of a meat grinder to walk into. It's just all hands and feet and knees from weird angles, and he's a difficult problem to solve.
Yeah, definitely. And DiMarcantonio, he's got a good build. I mean, he's a svelte guy, you know, for the weight class, 145 pounds. He's big.
He is. You know, definitely going to have a height and reach advantage over Francis Healy. But Francis is kind of a bit stockier and, you know, might end up being stronger at this weight.
Another fighter doing their ceremonial stomp in the cage. Never quite got it, but
it seems like that might be a thing their camp does.
Yeah. Coming up next, red corner, Francis Mad Dog Healy, like we said, from the Mad Factory. Highly touted fighter in the area. We saw him fight in December of last year. He put Manny Milan in a rear naked choke after absolutely devastating him on the feet.
And I think the thing that Francis has improved most at is his striking. I think in the past, when he lost the Kama, his striking was a bit reckless. He's told me that when he gets hit, his natural reaction is to wade back in and hit more. And I think he's sort of contained that and learned to harness it within, you know, a technical framework.
A phenomenal grappler is Francis Healy. He's a wrestling coach for a local community college.
It's not community college. It's Penn State branch, I believe.
That's it. I'm out of turn. So he's a phenomenal wrestler. I mean, he's a young guy, too. He's not that far out from his days of wrestling. So I'm sure, you know, the experience has been ingrained into him. Very, very good on the ground. And very good at getting guys to the ground.
Yeah, and he's a guy who I think wants to pursue this sport, you know, in a higher level professional capacity if he can. You know, some guys are fighting just to fight, to be out there. Some guys, it's an advanced hobby. And then other guys are really looking at maybe making a run at the UFC and seeing what a career would be like as a real pro, not just in the context that they're getting paid to fight here, but that it is their only source of income.
Absolutely. Let's send it over to our ring announcer, Dan Bogan, for the official introduction.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is our first professional fight of the evening, and it's in the Gladiators of the Cage professional lightweight category. First, fighting out of the blue corner. He weighed in at 147 pounds. He stands 6 feet even, 25 years of age with a 6-5 record. He fights for Team Ascension. He's out of Welland, Ontario, Canada. Welcome, Matt DiMarcantonio, D-Marks. And his opponent, fighting out of the red corner, he weighed 147 pounds. He stands 5'7", 25 years of age with a 4-2 record. He fights out of the Mat Factory in Lower Borough, Pennsylvania. From Pittsburgh, Francis Mad Dog Healy. 3 5-minute rounds, your referee, Bill Bookwalter.
All right, tell you what, Matt, Fred, I'm gonna take care of it right now. Come out, touch gloves if you want. When the bell rings, you're live, guys. Okay, there we go. Back to the corner, please. One step back from me, Matt. Matt, you ready? France, ready? Fight!
Our first professional bout of the evening, round one beginning between Francis Mad Dog Healy and Matt DiMarcantonio.
Francis Healy throwing a kick under the higher kick of Matt DiMarcantonio and knocking the ground, but Matt able to get right back up.
I gotta say, the height difference right here is really big. I mean, if you don't think about it, look at it on paper. Whenever you see them in the cage next to each other, you know, Healy looks almost small.
Grab the cage.
Definitely has a stronger physique, I would say, than Matt, but
he does, and oddly enough, there's been a couple of these matches tonight where one guy is just taller and sort of thinner, but, you know.
Wow. DiMarcantonio flopped to guard to try to pull off a Kimura that he gripped. He originally gripped the Kimura in order to defend.
He is on it. It is behind Healy's back, and Healy is in pain.
Oh my
and
gosh.
It's over.
It is over. Healy was making a squirming face.
I think he might have dislocated his shoulder.
Wow. DiMarcantonio forced that submission, imposed his will, and won the fight. That's unbelievably impressive. Originally, Healy went to get a single leg takedown, and Matt DiMarcantonio did the standard. He put himself into a topside Kimura grip to try to defend. flopped to guard and pulled it off.
You don't see that finish that often. I mean, most of the time, you're just using it as a threat to stop the takedown. But
you know, we were just talking about that earlier tonight with Sean McSherry, who won a fight, his first fight via first-round Kimura, and I mean, that's really insane. Let's take a look at the instant replay. Here we see, I mean, he already pulled guard.
It's behind his back right here. His arm is, his wrist is practically touching his neck.
The idea whenever you do a Kimura like this is, we always say to try to put his fist between his shoulder blades. And he's doing exactly that. Look at the extension on that Kimura. Celebrating on his back already. I mean, what a feeling that must be.
And I think that Francis held out as long as he possibly could, and there is going to be a runoff for submission of the night tonight. I tell you what.
Wow.
I have never seen so many submissions, so many great finishes. I mean, I thought that fight was going to be way longer and be more back and forth, but
yeah, it's just almost something you never see. I mean, the Kimura that he put onto Francis Mad Dog Healy was literally initially just to keep Healy from being able to clasp his hands properly and complete a takedown.
It's honestly maybe 1 in 1,000 that you see that finish from that position.
Matt, here we go, bud.
Yeah, you are right, though. Submission of the night is going to be a real toss-up.
Yeah, because his teammate had a hell of a guillotine earlier.
Absolutely. Let's send it over to our ring announcer, Dan Bogan, for the official decision.
Ladies and gentlemen, the end came at 54 seconds of the first round via verbal tap-out by the Kimura lot. Your winner from the blue corner, Matt DiMarcantonio!
Yeah, Francis Mad Dog Healy not looking too happy about what just happened.
And also looking like his shoulder might be
impressive
injured here.
Tonight with a crowd favorite in Francis Healy. This is your 20th fight tonight. What a way to go on your 20th fight. Was that what you was expecting and planning for?
If my back hit the ground, I knew I was going to attack submissions like crazy. I felt like I was better anywhere in this fight. Maybe not the wrestling, but definitely on the ground, definitely standing. I wanted to showcase my striking, but I didn't get to.
Well, yeah, you didn't need to, and it was a great effort tonight. I knew it seemed like Francis right away with the Mad Factory, a great team. You knew it was going to probably end up on the ground, and it seems like you actually knew that was going to happen, and you went for it tonight. What a great submission. You caught him with the Kimura. How great does that feel?
Oh, man, I'm in Cloud 9 right now. This is my 20th fight. It's my coach's 100th win from coaching. It's freaking awesome. I'm just pumped. I want to thank everyone coming out. My boys came out, Declan. Mr. McGregor and his grandfather came, Mr. Fang, and obviously the beautiful lady right there. Love you, Jess. Yeah, man. Awesome.
Absolutely great performance. We look forward to having you back at Gladiators of the Cage. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Well, there you have it, folks. A short finish, and not exactly what we expected to see, but impressive nonetheless. Matt DiMarcantonio making a mark here at Gladiators of the Cage tonight.
That entire Canadian squad that came down here is making a mark. They are well-trained, very proficient fighters.
I couldn't agree with you more. I love seeing them come down to fight. Coming up next, we've got Lewis the Beast Rumsey versus Daniel Spawn, but first, a word from our sponsors.